last lesson, I was going to say, last session, we did all of the canning up into getting it into the jars, and I kind of rushed through that. So I've made a ton of tomatoes. It's all roast tomatoes here, as you can see, all ready and raring to go. And I've got all my jars all ready and raring to go, and I'm getting my lemon juice out because I was meant to do that, but then I couldn't find my tripod. So you know what it's like. It's okay if you don't have lemon juice, because you can use citric acid, which I always have on hand because it's a lot easier than having lemon juice sometimes. So I buy it in bulk, and I'll show you. Hello, hello, hello. As you can see, this is normal bog standard lemon juice, and we're going to turn the canner on. It's going to take forever to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn this on. So we want the temperature to be 100. So as you can see, I've turned it up to 100, and I'm going to can these for 35 minutes because they're pints. Quarts you have to do for 45 minutes, I think. No, 40 minutes, sorry, I lied. Okay, so let's get this started first. If you've got any questions, go ahead and... Oh, did you see that? If you've got any questions, go ahead and pop them down below. I've got a question. Where did I get my canner from? Amazon. I have dropped a link. Should be down below. Just double check if it is. Let me know if it isn't there. I can drop it later. So, first thing I want to do is I've counted out my canning lids. I'm just going to put them into some water. Do not boil them, but we're going to simmer them. Like so. Let me show you. Hi, Ali. How are you? So they're my canning lids. I'm just going to, like, there's a seal on them. As you can see, that's really tough. So if you don't heat it up, your cans won't seal properly. And I've had issues with that recently. I feel like this year they've really made that super thick. And here, I'm just basically kind of like blending up, hand blending my sauce. I don't want it to be too thin. I just want it to be sort of quite thick, and smooth-ish will be fine. I've roasted them and I've drained off all of the liquid so I don't have to boil them. Finally got a large harvest of tomatoes today. Epic. How many tomatoes are you growing, Ali? I bet it's absolute tons. Okay, now, next things we're going to do, I'm so organised, but I'm like not organised at the same time, so excuse me. Next thing we're going to do is push that out of the way. Next thing we're going to do is put our 1 tablespoon of lemon in each one of our canning jars. These are our keeper tomatoes. They've all gone red. I don't know if they're going to last the season, you know. About 120. I've beat you this year because I did 125. Have to be better. Have to be better. I have to do one up everyone. Like this. So just a normal tablespoon. Measure it out. It's really, there's not very much science behind it. If it's a little bit extra, it's okay, just can't go under. If you're going to do these in litres or a quart, which is just under a litre, then you want 2 tablespoons. I gave away 10. You have to always do better than me. I bet. There we go. I love tomatoes. They're probably my favourite harvest and thing to grow because I think they're so interesting. I think peppers is like that, but I just don't think I'm as good with peppers as I am with tomatoes. So I'm not that, like, excited about them. I've just pulled out all my pepper plants in my greenhouse to get ready for carrots. And that would be blasphemy if I did that with my tomatoes. I would never pull them out early. Do you boil the lids in cold water? No. You don't never boil them. You simmer them. You simmer them in warm water, just to soften up that kind of wax seal. That's all we're doing. I don't know how many jars I'm going to use. I do have a new case of jars, so I can go get them if I need to. But I'm just going to put lemon in all of them, just because I forget otherwise. We're doing a basic tomato sauce today. and I'm basically just going to do lemon juice. I don't put salt in anything I can, just because I would forget it has salt in it, and then everything will be so salty. If you imagine, I open up a jar of tomatoes, chuck it in, and then I open up a jar of beans, chuck it in, and then I have a jar of, I don't know, peppers or whatever, chuck that in because it's a quick meal. You know, a bit of meat, whatever, a bit of seasoning in there. It's gonna be so salty that you can't eat it. So I don't mess about with it. I literally don't put any salt in anything I can, or I'll just be eating salt. Can you can cancer? Can you can salsa? Yes, you can. I'm actually going to be doing that in next week's video. It's all going to be about tomato salsa and barbecue sauce. There's going to be a third one. I haven't decided what that's going to be yet. I'm not that organised. Right, so this is a powder funnel. So you see how it doesn't go really narrow at the bottom. This is perfect to keep your jars nice and clean. So what we're going to do is, I use a cup, and you can use a ladle, and I'm going to pick up my tomato sauce, and it is absolutely, I've got to show you this, guys. Look how nice and thick that is. That is the thickest, deliciousest tomato sauce that you can get. Peaches, I did peaches last week. My tin peaches, well, I've got some over here. I've been lazy, I haven't put them away yet. So these are my tin peaches. Obviously you don't do them with the lid on, but that's what they look like now. They look delicious. They're really nice. Okay, this is starting to get a little bit too bubbly, so I'm just going to turn it down to like 2. That is my lids just simmering away. And then you'll notice I've lost the magnet to pull them out, so I'll be burning my fingers. So where was that? Oh yes. So nice thick tomato sauce. You'll never get a thin tomato sauce again if you do it this way. It's so good, guaranteed to work. Nothing worse than canning something and being so thin you've got to boil it away for hours. Not when the electric bill's up so high. So we're going to go ahead, add a little bit more. And what I'm doing with this is actually called a debubbler, and it's just a piece of plastic chopstick. It's fine. I even use a knife. I only started using it again because I found it in the cupboard. But you can use whatever you like, as long as you're not stabbing it in there, because you will break the jar. All we're looking for, and this is more important on jars that are like these peaches. Where are they? These peaches will hide little air bubbles underneath them, and because you're going to be pressure canning them and making a vacuum, it will not seal if there's too much air in there, so you don't want that. I also want correct headspace. So I just need to take a little bit of that out, and that will be fine. Now there's a rule of thumb for this. You want, and this one has like the little measurements on it, and you don't want to go you don't want to go over the headspace, which is 1/2 inch. And that's where, like, when I first started canning, that's where I went wrong, and I would fill them up really high, or I'd leave them half empty, really, being so worried, and they wouldn't seal properly. You can see that's fine. So, the sound effect's important. And then that's done. I will show you what you're doing next, which is getting a piece of paper towel or kitchen roll. And I'm laughing because this is my vinegar. It's just not very easy to use. I should have just put it into a small bottle. And what you're going to do is a little bit on the kitchen roll in the centre, because I'm like that. And then what you're going to do is just clean the ring. And you can do this on anything but dairy. You can't clean a jar with dairy. And can you can with dairy? Well, technically the American society said no, but can you can it? Yes, you can. That's my big thing I'm going to can this year, is going to be mac and cheese. I'm very excited about that. That's going to be pressure canning though, so it's a bit different. Right, I'm going to take my lid. I'm going to take one from the bottom, so they're going to be really hot. Ooh. Yeah, use the magnet thing that comes with your kit. Don't lose that. Then you just push it on like that. And what we're doing today is cold canning. So this is cold. So, cold car, cold contents, cold canner, yeah? And we're going to go ahead and put it into our cold canner, which is not boiling, as you can see. Mind my washing up. Like I said, I've just roasted all these tomatoes, etc. So the washing up comes through. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that in there. Like so. It is starting to get warm, but like it'd be a really disappointing bath sort of temperature. Put you down. Okay, let's get on with the next one. I've got to move quite quickly. That's going to be a hot canner. Okay, so it takes about a cup and a bit to fill up these pint jars. I did remove some of the skins. I wasn't really that like tyrannical about it. If some of the skins are in there, I just blended them up, so it's fine. If they get a bit too thick, I'll just go ahead and add, you know, blend them a little bit more. If I see a skin, I'll just peel it out. You don't have to be too stressed about it. It's going to taste gorgeous. Like I said, I don't put any salt in this, and I don't put any sugar in it. When you make your own, when you grow your own tomatoes, you don't need to put sugar in them. They are incredibly sweet already. And another thing I like to do with these is I like to harvest all my tomatoes before they get watered. So you don't really want to water them before you harvest them, because they'll either split, which is no good. If you've got split tomatoes, then you do get a, you know, mold or whatever. They don't keep very long. And dumped it all in there. That wasn't good, was it? And you don't, and the flavour's not as good. Sorry, I find it hard to talk and do things at the same time. So in it goes. Oh, wipe it a little bit more. You can do this with water if you want, but vinegar does work really well on the lid. And then these are the rings, and they just go on like this. Super easy. I can't see any links to the canner. Sorry, I must not have put it on. I kind of forgot to put this one on a little bit earlier, which is my fault. So you'll have to just bear with me. I will put it on at the very end. Can you use all types of tomatoes? Yes. So technically speaking, you're meant to use these type of tomatoes, and I'll show you. These are canning tomatoes. Do you see the shape of them? I've got them in red, and I've got them in black as well. So they're Roma type tomatoes, but these are the tomatoes that I use. As you can see, I have a range of tomatoes. I've got this one, it's gorgeous. Look at that. This one, like a sunset. This one is one of my favourites this year. I've got this almost white one. Nice big beef steaks in there. I've got little cherry tomatoes. They're my favourite, actually. I think cherries really make a very delicious sauce. But these are like the varieties that I have in there. I grow over 100 types of tomatoes. So there's just so many that I use all of them in my sauce. The only thing is you do drain them. So I literally roast them in the oven, and I put them in a colander. And then I let the colander... So I let the colander do all the hard work instead of boiling them off. That is the only problem when you're using different types of tomatoes, not canning tomatoes. You'll get absolutely tons and tons of water coming off. So as long as you don't have to boil that away, because obviously with the price of electric, etc., it's going to be really, really expensive. Sorry, I can't see. I need glasses, I think. Where do you get all your seeds from? Where do I get my seeds from? Literally everywhere. You name it. When you start gardening, you'll notice that as soon as you start making gardening friends, our favourite thing is to send each other seeds. So I honestly get seeds from all over the place. I get people sending me them. I get to save my own seeds, etc. So just literally wherever you can get them. What's my favourite one? Tomato wise, my favourite tomato this year is probably the Midnight Roma. The Midnight Roma is amazing, right? That's my absolute favourite tomato at the moment. I'm just going to top this up a little bit, but I think just trying all the different type of tomatoes. Black cherry is my favourite cherry tomato. And I also have got one that's called something sour. I think it's like Amsterdam sour maybe. That one's amazing too. It's not sour at all. I don't know why it's called sour. It's really sweet and delicious. I like that one. But literally, I just think they look all nice together. I wouldn't want to grow one type of tomato. I personally like to grow like a variety so that you have that nice, delicious, like colourful basket. I think that's where I'm at. And every year, I'm telling you, your canned tomatoes are going to taste better than anything you can buy in the shop. I never now buy tomatoes from the supermarket, and I find that once you've grown your own and you've made your own tomato sauces, and we can a couple of 100 tomato jars a year, and honestly, you would never go back to having shop bought. It's just honestly not something you want to be eating anymore. You'll be shocked. Yeah, you mix the tomato seeds to grow? Yes, you don't have to grow one variety of tomatoes. They don't even cross-pollinate, so you can save seeds from tomatoes super easy. The ones that I just showed you over there are actually tomatoes that I'm going to save seeds from tonight. It's super easy to do as well. It was actually Ali who changed the way that I save tomato seeds. I used to ferment them. That's a right faff. And now all I do is take them, cut out the juicy pulp bit, and I put them in the sink and I just wash them with a colander. Or a sieve, actually, not a colander, called a sieve. And that is all I do, and it works out beautifully. But yeah. So I'm just checking that you haven't messaged. So I'm just doing the same, kind of knocking them down a little bit. I am trying to like hurry a little bit now because I can hear my canners getting quite warm. And if you put cold jars with cold content in a warm canner, the jars will shatter. So I don't want that. And I'm sure it'll be really funny, but I really don't want that to happen. Last week I had a absolute massive instant, didn't I? I dropped a tomato and it splashed all over me. It was funny though, and it was hot. But yeah, I don't want to break my jars. These jars I get from Amazon, and jars here in the UK, if you're not from the UK, jars here are super expensive. They can set us back like £25 for 12, and these are really cheap jars. They're way more expensive. Like you can be paying that for just 6. So they are quite precious. I've tried so many jars and so many have broken. I'm actually got one today. I bought cases of this, like multiple cases of these old-fashioned jars, that's what they're called. And I have managed to shatter, not just break, shatter multiple ones. I think I need to blend that again. I was like, what is that metal? It's my spoon. I'm just going to blend it up again. At the bottom is when, like, if you're using an immersion blender, which is easy and cheap, you often get the skins at the bottom. You just want to blend them up. There you go. Because then I won't have big lumps of tomatoes in my tomato sauce. Yeah, my alley frames, they are absolutely amazing, those alley frames that I use to support my tomatoes. They have not failed at all. Next year, this is famous last year words, isn't it, when I declare that I'm going to do something, you can hold me accountable next year. But I was given a load of metal, and I'm going to do my alley frame in metal next year. I don't want to. So that'll be super exciting, because I find that the bamboo is still a little bit bendy when you're like pulling on them when you've got a lot of weight, particularly where you get really large tomatoes. I've got one called, I think it's called Ox Heart, I think, and that one is so big that it does bend the dowels. So I need to do something a little bit more to make sure that they're okay. I'm getting further and further away and I cannot see. What what are you going to use the sauce for? So this sauce I use for absolutely everything. So this is my sauce for curry. This is my sauce for pasta, like a bolognese, literally everything. That's why I keep it nice and plain. You can mix it up and put like a teaspoon of different herbs, whatever you want in here, and that's fine. But this is my base for all my different recipes. So from tomato pasta sauce to even onion, what are they called? Potato curry, you name it. It honestly makes a fantastic, really easy grab and go dish, so that you're not roasting tomatoes and having to wait for those, etc. So it does work out super versatile, is what we're looking for. So with just a few extra spices or whatever, you can make a curry. And I've made the curry on my channel. I did a short on it a while ago in the winter, and that was all from just this recipe. It's not really a recipe, is it? It's just literally roasted tomatoes in the oven, drained, and a tablespoon of lemon. That's it. You can add sugar if you want. You can add salt if you want. It's just you have to remember that you don't want to salt anything you're making if you salt your cans as well. Also, word of advice about buying canning jars. Ideally, you want all the same canning jars. If you buy wide mouth ones, you want to keep wide mouth. If you buy narrow mouth, then you kind of want to have those all together. There's nothing worse than looking for canning rings. And I've got hundreds of canning rings. I can never find them. You can can anything. So can you can apples? Yes, you can. Can you can cranberry? Yes. We made cranberry this Christmas, actually. I actually put vanilla in it because I thought it sounded really good, and my mum was like, what are you doing? And it was really good. So we make our own vanilla, and that is just the most amazing stuff, and I was super excited about having it on hand. So I just put it in everything. You know what it's like when you get something new. Right, I'm going to quickly wipe around these because I can hear the can are getting very hot, and I don't want it to get too bad before I'm ready for these tomatoes. So I've found that 2 trays of tomatoes, roasted tomatoes, makes 6 half pints or 6 jars of tomatoes. So that's kind of what you're looking for, but I always do extra jars because it's easier to have too many than it is to halfway through, particularly if you're doing hot canning, to go ahead and get more out, especially if you have to undo a box. When will I start canning for Christmas Day? So, it's hot. I don't really can that much for Christmas Day. I tend to cook it fresh. I have loads of things in the garden though for Christmas Day, ready and raring to go. So for example, I've got parsnips, Brussels sprouts, potatoes. They're all I'm going to cook fresh. I don't tend to cook meals and can them. I've done that in the past. It's just something I'm not really that into. But I do like canning ingredients so that I can grab and go them. So for us, this is a really simple and easy dinner. Instead of having them, I feel like I'm shouting over the counter. Instead of having them as a meal where you just open up a can, particularly on like something like Christmas, I'm probably going to do a bit of chicken stock though for Christmas because I find it so handy to have on hand. And if I freeze chicken stock, I never use it. So, once again, it's what you use and how you use it is the most important. If you are okay having it frozen in the freezer, then maybe that's the way you go. If you're quite intimidated by canning, I have to say, don't worry about it. It is easy, and to be honest, most people are worried about like botulism, etc. If your can goes, I had one go today. My second can has gone since I've started canning in 2017, and it was stinky, gross and revolting. It's the first ever time that my jam has failed. Never had failed jam before. but I did this year. I'm just going to take all of the cans over. There it is. You want one of these. This is a canning lifter. People use it the wrong way. This is what you grab the jar with. This is the handle. I see so many people using it the other way. And what it's going to do is, now that it's started to heat up a little bit, I just don't want to burn my hands. So it's probably not that hot, but why risk it, eh? So it's getting a bit warm now. I've kind of left you over there, sorry. Hi. Where'd you get this hand from? Amazon. Everything I get is from Amazon. Excuse my mess. I'm just going to show you the Fairy Up liquid. I'm just going to show you putting it in. I'm very short, so I've got to go on tippy toes to see into the canner. I did get a question the other day about the canning rings. Now, the canning rings, if they're a little bit rusted, that's okay. It's not the end of the world because they're not going in the food. And another question I got the other day, which has just popped out of my head, is should you let your cans touch in the canner? No. But what I've found is if you push the cans together, they won't touch, do you see? Because the top's touching. You just don't want those touching because as they kind of bounce around in the canner, they do and will break. Also, don't put the can on the bottom of the canner. This has a rack on it. And ceremoniously push them over. As you get a little bit more experienced in canning, you do get more confident. So, excuse me if you just see me pushing them around. I know they're not going to break. 2 more and then I'm done. I'll kick things across the floor. I think I'm one too many. Right, we'll get him in. There we go. Right, I'm going to show you now. So, hello. As you can see, they're all happily in there, which is a relief. I'm just going to put the lid on. Ooh, let me show you. It's really hard to do this live, I tell you. You can imagine how many outtakes I actually have. Okay, let's have a little looky what we're getting. I'm getting some hello, so hello back. Do all the parts come as a set? Yeah. So when I buy my jars, I buy the jar, the ring, and the canning flat. It comes as a set. But you can just buy the flats and the rings as well. I buy the flats, which are the lids. I buy those in bulk. I buy about 100 at a time, and I'll show you them. They are in the drawer here, so I buy them there, and I've got the wide ones, and I've got the narrow ones. You want to buy them in bulk because it's way cheaper than buying like 6 at a time. Hello Sheila, I just bought a water bath canner set, awesome, and then decided I wanted a pressure canner, so I ordered one from American Amazon. Awesome. They're getting way more readily available here in the UK. When I started, I had to import mine from France, and I'm telling you, it was very cheap. Just don't tell Bob. No, it was really expensive. But I was like, it's on sale. What model is is a canner, not a steamer? It is, I don't know what the name of it is. Monazana. I just got it. It is awesome. They've changed it from canner to drinks dispenser, but it'd be a useless drinks dispenser, honestly, but it makes a fantastic canner because now you can just leave it. I don't have to look at it, I don't have to monitor it. It will start the timer when it gets up to 100 degrees, and you can just walk away from it. You can't really leave the house just in case, but it will automatically turn off as soon as it gets that 35 minutes boiling time, and we've done it from cold. So it's currently 60 degrees in there, it says on the outside. Yes, please remember to subscribe, especially if you want to have tons of canning things. We're doing a whole entire canning saga this week. Where do you buy your lids from? Amazon, right? And I buy the cheap ones too. I buy 100 for £11, and as long as you simmer them, literally, no problem. Amazon, I get everything from Amazon. So I know I forgot to put it on today's live, but on my last video all of the links are there because I made sure that I'll put it on, and I'll put them on here later as well. I apologise about that, I should have done that. The canner, Amazon. Everything Amazon. I got these, it came as a pack of canning things. It came with this, it came with a bubbler, it came with a magnet. I got these from Amazon. I use them all the time. I prefer this one. There is another one that's more blocky that I used to have. I had to throw it away. This one I can use one-handed. It's absolutely fine. Like, I have no problem using that one-handed, which I know sounds really silly, but you're going to be doing that more than often. You can't really get in like that because you're going to be standing over a boiling hot kettle of water. You're going to end up getting scalded. So one-handed is quicker, easier. This one's nice and easy. Yep, and the canner is from Amazon as well. Yeah, so just click on my last video that I've put out, my last long video. It's on there. I apologise, they're not down below. £80 bargain for that canner. Yeah, it was 80 quid. When I got it, it was so cheap, and honestly, I really wanted to get an automatic pressure canner. That's what I was kind of going for, because you can water bath in a pressure canner if you don't put the pressure on. But it was £500, and I just can't justify £500. It's just not happening, you know. But yeah, 80 quid. I was like, how can I not do that? And I've got little kids. Well, I have a little child. I have a 1-year-old, and he's always underfoot and always around. And I find this is easy because if he cries, I can leave this and go ahead and go off and, you know, live my life and not have to worry about him being underfoot. And having to watch a canner can be quite stressful. But for years and years and years, especially if you're getting into the hobby of canning, I started off with a stock pot. And I used a stock pot, and I used my canning rings at the bottom of the stock pot to kind of make a rack. And that is literally how I canned for up until this year. Water bath canning. And I do have a pressure canner, but I find the pressure canner so huge that it was just not feasible to use that as a water bath canner. But lots of people do. They just take the valve out and it's able to boil away, so it does work out quite well. But that canner is amazing, and I don't know why I didn't buy it earlier. It will just go now, and then you go when it's finished, and then wait 5 minutes, and then you can pull out your cans. Yes, you can. So when I first started out, I used old jam jars and I used a stock pot, and I bought the stock pot off Amazon. Back then you could get 3 massive stock pots for £30, but now they're like £30 each. So it is a little bit of a different world. I think more people are getting into water bath canning, so the price has gone up a little bit. But you are looking at about £100 for a water canner. So they are quite pricey. So a stock pot is still a lot cheaper. And I started off with jam jars, and they work perfectly fine. The only issue that you have with jam jars, which is really important, is if you see, and I do have one over here, an old lid. You're not meant to use these lids twice, but you can see that's like perfectly fine. Oh no, there is. There's a little bit of rust. Do you see the rust? Just there, right? That will hold bacteria, that will leach into your food. You do not want to use second-hand lids that are rusty, because they will rust all the way through, particularly if you're doing something like pickles. They will rust all the way through, all right, because it's acidic, right? And I actually have an example here. This is a pickle jar, and it was at the back. I just redid my canning section, and it's actually rusted all the way through the lid. How bad's that? So you've got to make sure that you're not using old lids and your lids are perfectly good. I'm just canning chickpeas, amazing canning chickpeas, really easy to do in my Instapot Pro, lovely, and it takes 4 jugs. 4 jugs. The jugs of water, do you mean? Hello, Bailey. How do I check for botulism? You can't really check for botulism because it's tasteless everything. So you can't taste it, you can't smell it, etc. What you can do is, if you've got a jar and the seal is gone, if you can do this to a jar, that means it's unsafe to eat. When your jar is completely sealed, I'll show you. So this is a jar that's completely sealed. As you can see, there's no sound when you tap on that. It's completely, utterly flat, and there's no way of getting it off. So once they come out the canner, you put them on I put them on a tea towel. The reason I do that is because if you don't put them on a tea towel, the water goes everywhere, because obviously they're wet. It's like coming out the shower and stepping on the floor. You're going to get the floor all wet. You put it on a tea towel and you leave them with the ring on for 12 to 24 hours, okay? Then you do the test. You tip the top, as you can hear. It doesn't sound like it. If it does that, you've got to put it in the fridge, use it that day. And then you take the rings off, you wash down all of the jars, not jugs, I understand now. You wash down all your jars. I find that you get a little bit of mould around here if you don't wash them down, because obviously you know, you've boiled them in water, but you've probably not cleaned around the outside. You saw I cleaned the ring, I didn't clean the outside. So I washed them down, bit of Fairy Up liquid on a sponge, wash them all down, label them. You have to remove the jar rings. So these rings, they just come off super easy like that. And then you can do the test. If you pick it up like this and the lid comes off in your hand, obviously, then it's not sealed, okay? So that's how you test. If you can pick it up like this, that means it's completely sealed. Because it's sealed and it's a high acid food, which is like tomatoes, fruit, etc., or pickles, you will not have botulism in it, because it's sealed, it's sterile, okay? Nothing's gonna grow in it. If you open it up and it is discoloured, it's got fuzzy mould on it, it has, I don't know, anything fuzzy. Fuzzy is never good. Fuzzy means it's mould. Throw it out. If in doubt, throw it out. Discoloration, if in doubt, throw it out. Tomatoes do get a little bit at the top. They react with the lids and they do go a bit dark on the lid. That's fine. But if it's a different colour, like blue, green, fuzzy, white, throw it out. If it develops yeast, throw it out. It's just not worth it. That's how I think of it. If you are a little bit like, you know, then just throw it out, because that means that you could get particularly sick on it. It's just not worth it. Right, guys, I only ever have 30 minutes, so thank you so much for coming. And this is like step 2 of canning. Thank you so much, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye, bye, bye. Thank you so much.